let's get down to business. So, y'all want to know what the difference between a dragon and a wyvern is? You have to actually know what a dragon is. And let me get this out of the way before we get started. You cannot tell me that something is something else when it's not. If we all, as humans, agree that things are things that aren't things. We have definitions for particular things. And one thing I did not like about Merlin is they just like, oh, that's a queffalala, that's a goggenschmagen, that's a hogspog. Like, they had too much of an imagination when it came to the creatures. I like seeing standard creatures, imp, fairy, goblin, elf. They can look different a little bit to a point, but you cannot make, like, some elves are tall. The elves that work for Santa are short. So tall or short doesn't matter what elves. That's not the definition you get from elves. Some elves are like that. There are different kinds of elves and there are different kinds of dragons. But you cannot completely change the anatomy of something and then say it's the same thing. Wyverns have their arms connected to their wings. Now, dragons don't have that. They're not like bats. There's a particular family. I don't know what it's called because I'm not like a zoologist. But there are different families that share that particular characteristic. And dragons don't qualify for that. And people be like, oh, dragon, like, before you start talking about how dragons aren't real, your mama ain't real. Now, dragons have wings on their back that aren't connected to their arms. That's why they're able to move them and pick things up without having their wings dealt with. The best example of a dragon that I can think of is this movie that I would love to recommend to you guys, but I would not recommend any other movie beyond it. The rest of them are bad. All of them are bad except the first movie. And the first movie is like, okay, it's like whatever. But it really could also have another, like I was talking about Willow having its own series on Netflix. Dragonheart could have its own series on Netflix and be a good series. Like I said, Netflix, I'm literally like about to pick up my dollars and not have y'all anymore and just have everyone else, because like you're really too much money for what you're giving us. For me to only watch like 5 things on there and a few animes, I might just bite the bullet and not watch y'all anymore. If y'all don't pick up the pace and do something good. And Bridgerton, like I said, Bridgerton's not it. But let me digress. So dragons. Dragons have a particular anatomy. 2 horns, 2 or more eyes, 2 arms, 5 claws on each hand, disconnected from their wings. Their wings are on their back. They have a row of spikes down their spine, connected to their spine, connected to their vertebrae. They have 1 tail that has a barb at the end. They have 2 legs, which extends away from their body. They can walk on all 4s or stand up on their back leg and rest. I would consider myself the true queen of dragons. I am in the progress of making a dragon room. Like, I have so many dragon figurines, so many dragon statues, so many dragon pictures. I just love dragons. Dragons are my thing. That's why I'm M Dragon 12. Like, 12 is all the zodiacs. I'm also really into astrology. I'm like, there are particular things, and I'll like probably make a video about astrology as well. Because it's just like, a lot of people be like, oh yeah, I'm into astrology. I'm this rising that looks like, okay, shut up. Like, when I hear some rising, I'm done. Because it's like, it's not even like about, I have no idea what that is. And it's like not even connected to how they were doing anything back then. When they were using astrology to like find places and go places and do stuff. And then I was in school and some girl turned, like, I was literally minding my own business and talking to someone else, and she's going to take herself and turn around and be like, well, you know that the earth changed since the zodiac. So technically this, that, and the other, and the 13th. And I don't even believe in the 13th zodiac. That 13th zodiac thing doesn't make any sense. When 12 goes into 365, it's like a different thing because there's less days in February. It has to do with mathematics, and that's a lot of that. Like, some people just can't get it, and that's why people are like, oh, I don't follow it. But everyone follows astrology. Everyone. It's just not, like, you don't let it control your life. Like, don't say, well, I don't do this because I'm this, that, and the other. Or don't people be like, well, I'm this, so I'm that. Like, you cannot use your zodiac sign as an excuse, and that's first and foremost. And if you use your zodiac sign as an excuse to do horrible things, then you're not into astrology. You're just stupid. But let me get back to this dragon thing, because that's another story for another day. It's another story for another video. Like, Dragonheart has the best depiction of a dragon I've ever seen. The worst depiction was Game of Thrones. What even is that? Dragons actually know how to speak words. That's why I love Merlin so much, because like there's a dragon that speaks, and it's like it's the dragons that don't, they were never taught to speak. They were living out in the wilderness. There are like a lot of, and sometimes you can tell that they actually care about, like, even though in Dragonheart the animation and the CGI is really bad, it's because it's old from a long time ago. It's like, it's got that middle age-esque feel, and that's cool. And I'm fine with that. But some people aren't. And some people just, I need it to be like 2050, like, look 2050 and 1875. Like, okay, dude, like, whatever. So, Game of Thrones has the worst depiction of dragons I've ever seen. And I will literally fight George R.R. Martin. I will fight him. Like, meet me outside. Catch me out freaking side. Because you're going to retcon and talk about, the evolution of, shut up, the evolution of, we didn't evolve with one leg and then we needed two legs. Like, we had two legs, okay? So don't tell me that they evolved for their wings to do that and the other, and their arms to do whatever, or that's a different type of dragon. Like, first, I've heard that he said that there were different types of dragons, and it's like, yeah, there are different types of humans, but the other humans don't have like 50 eyes on the back of their scalp and ears on their anus, okay? So we have to just agree that there are particular things that you cannot say something has because it doesn't fit the definition, nor does it fit the anatomy of the creature you're trying to describe. We cannot say a cat is a dog because we agree that cats have particular characteristics, particular anatomy, particular physiology. We cannot say that a chicken is a porcupine because it does not fit the definition that we all agree as humans to say that definition represents. Like, honestly, like, we cannot be so ignorant to say, okay, that's what that is. It's like, and this has nothing to do with gender identity at all. Before I get someone in my comments talking about, well, what about this, that, and it's like, shut up. That has nothing to do with that. That has way different, it has to do with feeling and all that. Can we ask how a porcupine's feeling? Can we ask how anything's feeling? And it has nothing to do with that. Like I said, it has to do with emotions. That has to do with how you feel. That has to do with what is reality and what isn't reality. You can be transgender and it still be set in reality. That's a real thing. You cannot say a dragon has arms that are webbed to its wings, because that's not a dragon. It's not. We can't say this dragon is like, dragons speak like humans speak. There are some humans who don't have the ability to speak, but we're not talking about, y'all are just trying to make it seem like dragons are animals. If those stupid things in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, cider or whatever, a cider or however you call it, can speak, a dragon can speak. Something that it lives for like 1,000 years. I'm still not convinced that turtles can't speak. They live for a very long time. How do they not learn in their whole life to know how to speak? Like, honestly, they know how to speak. They just don't speak to us. But whatever. So George R.R. Martin is talking about how, well, this is evolution, and that was before they did that. It's just like I said, humans didn't evolve with our ears on our butts, and it slowly moved up the sides of our sides, on our arms, and to our heads. It did not do that. They did not do that. So what is your point when you say evolution? Because there are so many things that come into account with evolution, like, and I don't even believe that we come from monkeys, because we still got monkeys, like, so how come we haven't seen in all our years of studying animals a monkey turn into anything that looks anywhere like a human? And there could be different, anytime I see something that looks human-esque that is born, I know that there was some breeding with that. Like, somebody had sex with an animal and then they gave birth to something that looked like a human, because we are not evolving from animals. I have a theory that, like, I believe that we reincarnate and our face looks similar to what like, it gives a hint because it's trying to call back to what we used to look like. But I really don't think that we come from animals of any kind. No animal. We come from something else. But I've taken like 2 anthropology classes, so I'm just like, whatever. So that's what made me more interested in like not that didn't specifically, but that helped my drive to explain like dragons, because people be playing games and being like, oh, this is, even dragons that have whipped tails that have nothing on the end is still wrong. That's not how dragons look. Maybe they look like that when they're babies, maybe, but most definitely not when they're fully grown. They must have a barb at the end of their tail. And people be like, oh, you're taking this too seriously. It's like, your mama taking this too seriously. Dragons are real. Dragons were real. We couldn't be on Earth the same time as dragons. Like, right now. Are you kidding me? They would, like, dragons, we try to shoot them, they just eat us. Like, get out of here. But whatever. So, if you are still not convinced that George R.R. Martin's, like, explanation about dragons is trash, let me explain something to you. So we agree, like, we can just say, so that where there's no argument, okay, let's say that unicorns don't exist. Even though I believe they do, or they did, at some point in history. We call unicorns because there's one horn in the middle of their head. We cannot call a horse with 2 horns a unicorn, because it's now no longer a unicorn. It does not fit the definition of a unicorn. Depending on if there is a deformity that occurs, and this deformity can be explained by science, can we distinguish between something that is not real and something that is real but cannot be classified as what we once thought it was? Okay? That's the best way I can explain it. Like, if there's a dragon with no horns, it could be a deformity. It could be something they could have lost their horns, but they cannot just be like, they cannot all be in one collective space, like Game of Thrones, where all 3 of the dragons looked nothing like what a real dragon looks like. That was a wyvern. A wyvern is low to the ground. A wyvern cannot speak. A wyvern doesn't live as long as a dragon. A wyvern doesn't have hot enough breath to burn metal. A wyvern doesn't have, like, to melt metal, I would say. A wyvern does not have the capability to function like a dragon does. A dragon has hard shells to their eggs. A wyvern has soft shells to their eggs. They're far weaker. Wyverns have feathers because they're closer to the birds than reptiles. Reptiles may be related to birds sometimes, like when we're talking about dinosaurs and whatnot, but dragons are closer to reptiles, while dinosaurs are closer to birds. That's where wyverns come from. Just saying. Dragons can come in any color. Humans can come in any color that we've got the pigment to make, you know? So it's like we can't say, well, we're different species. We're all the same species. Dragons are all the same species, okay? If their wings are connected to their arms, like in a lot of things, like How to Train Your Dragon really gave me a stroke. All those dragons look disgusting. Who created those dragons? Those dragons were made for little baby boo-boo babies who want to watch a baby boo-boo baby movie. And it's like How to Train Your Dragon. I thought I was going to get a dragon movie. I thought I was going to get a good dragon movie. And then when I saw How to Train Your Dragon, I'm like, what is this? Toothless is the closest rendition to a dragon that there actually is. And they did that on purpose because he's the main one. Like, Astrid's dragon is literally a dinosaur. Astrid's dragon is literally a Snoutlout's dragon is literally a dinosaur. Like, they're all dinosaurs. They look like dinosaurs. What? Have y'all not seen Land Before Time? I'm going to sleep. Like, How to Train Your Dragon really, I like looking at all those quote-unquote dragons. I really just have no time for it. The story is fine. It's like, whatever. But I will never, like, watch How to Train Your Dragon and be enjoyed. Like, I'd be happy. Like, whatever. There are literally little to no renditions that I am like 1000% happy with, except Dragonheart. Dragonheart really does good with the lore of true dragons. I don't know who created or where it first came from, and I could care less. And here, let me tell you another sidebar. There are two types of dragons. There's an Eastern dragon and a Western dragon. The Western dragon is the one that I described because we're in the West. The Eastern dragon also has qualifications that must, like, prove that this dragon, like, is what it is. This is the definition. Eastern dragons have 2 arms, 2 legs. Eastern dragons are very long. Eastern dragons have, kind of like hair, kind of. And they've got manes. They've got, like, whiskers. They can have 2 or more eyes. They only have 2 horns. But they are weaker than the, like, they have different abilities. Eastern, I believe, they're more magical than Western. Western are more practical. Like, if you were to think of, yin and yang, I would say yin would be the Eastern dragon and yang would be the Western. But that's just me. I'm like, that's as far as I can go. And then there's subspecies of Eastern dragons that are now what we would describe as water dragons. So when you see an Eastern dragon and they're breathing fire, it's kind of wrong in all reality. You can do whatever you want in your own movies. I'm just going to say how wrong it is. Like, we have to have definitions for things, or else it's like anything can be anything. Like, I really don't know what else to say or how to say it. But that's basically the rundown. The Eastern dragon also has a tail that has the same color of whatever the mane is. It's like, none of these dragons that I described that are real have webbed arms or swoop low to the ground or look anything like How to Train Your Dragon dragons. Those things aren't dragons. Like, I can't even, like, I almost throw up every time I refer to that movie because those dragons are so butt ugly. Who designed them? They're all ugly. Toothless reminds me of a bearded dragon. Even bearded dragons, like, they don't even have, like, webbed, like, anything. They've, like, we call Komodo dragons no web, nothing. They may not have horns, but they don't need horns. Like, they've evolved not to need them. But I'm done. Like, I'm gonna have a lot of people talking about how dragons aren't real and how, you can do whatever you want in a and whatever, and I just say to that, it's just like, okay, then I'm gonna just say that I'm a potato. Like, I guess I'm a potato. I'm a potato now, I guess, because like I'm an apple. I guess I fit the qualifications to be an apple, right? Like, nothing can have a definition to it. We can't just agree that that's not a thing. We can't just agree that things have to mean something, that things have to actually have definitions. Okay.